Tyler Arundel, how old are you?
26.
26. What's going on with you right now? So current job?
Yeah, current job, project manager with mechanical contractor in Charleston, South Carolina.
There you go. So you have a bachelor's degree. You went to
Yep,
it's Western, but it's Western North Carolina, right?
at Western Carolina University.
Western Carolina
WC,
University.
home of the Catamount.
There you go.
Whatever that is, I don't know.
Yeah. And you wanted to do it because you kind of just fell into it, I guess. You didn't want to do coding, you didn't want to do the other thing, and you wanted to do the harder engineering program, right?
Right. Yeah, kind of just fell into it, and I knew I wanted to make money. So
And then your job is in cycles. You have like a beginning, a middle, and an end, and then that just
right,
repeats. So
just repeat depending on the project you're working on for sure.
I gotcha. And then your goals within the year, I would imagine, are keep working, keeping investing, and then within 5 years, it'd probably be more properties, right?
Yeah, I would say by the end of this year, we want to have our first set of apartments built and keep working and keep better in my future with my with the current job I have because I definitely want to keep continuing to have that income and keep working because I do enjoy my job. And then within 5 years, we'll be hopefully have a real decent set of passive income coming in.
Gotcha. So what would you have done differently if you wanted to do anything differently?
Maybe would have went to a school, a different school, and realized that I wanted to do mechanical engineering from the beginning. Um,
Okay,
Nothing against Western, they just didn't offer it when I first started. Um,
I gotcha. And if would you recommend? I guess you already said you would, and you would recommend it. Why? Because it's like it's good, it's decent, they treat you good, opportunity there to grow. What's the deal there?
so the experience, I would definitely if you want to go to a job where you do one thing and you become an expert in one thing,
Hmm.
that's great. But I get experience in so many different types of avenues and fields within my current job.
Ah, and I bet that's big because there's so many avenues of engineering, right? Like you listed them before, but there's like what, eight or something?
Right, right. And in order to be proficient in this industry, you can't be an idiot in other fields of engineering, uh, because then people can tell you something and you believe them, and it just ends up being a nightmare. You need to be able to call bullshit when it's going on. So
Yeah.
which and that's a huge learning curve. So if you like learning, you're constantly learning every day. That's for sure.
Nice. So people probably, just to add on to that, people probably look at you as like Tyler the engineer, right? They don't really like look at you as like Tyler the mechanical engineer. He only knows mechanical stuff.
Right. So honestly, they don't even really look at me as an engineer. I mean, even though I've got that background and that knowledge
Hmm.
as a project manager, it helps me
Oh yeah.
understand the processes.
Hmm.
But I think everybody who's in my position, I say everybody, most people in my position have a mechanical engineering degree. But do I use the math and that background? Rarely ever. Just when I'm trying to like fact check myself or something, it's mainly just.
Ah, I gotcha. I gotcha.
But yeah, they don't look at me as, oh, I only know mechanical. If they you start talking pretty deep about certain things, I'm probably not going to know what it is. But
Yeah. They're like, hey, what's the answer? That's probably what they want to know. They're like,
right,
what do I do? You're supposed to know these things.
right.
Yeah. I gotcha. Well, that's cool, man. Thank you for sharing and stuff.
All right. So my name is Tyler Arundel, and I guess before I get into what I do for a living, I think it's probably important to really talk about the journey of how you get here.
Hmm.
So pretty much growing up, everyone always tells you you got to go to college. You got to go to college. So
Hmm.
as soon as I graduated, that's exactly what I did. I went to Western Carolina University. I spent my first 2 years absolutely not knowing what I wanted to do. So at Western, if you're an undeclared major, they just throw you in a random like peer group till you figure it out.
Yeah.
Well, after 2 years, I still hadn't figured it out, and I realized I was gonna have to make a decision because you can't just keep you know
Yeah.
can't just keep living by the seat of your pants. So
Yeah.
I finally did some soul searching and found a degree. It was actually electrical and computer engineering. So I guess my second semester of my sophomore year, I decided that's what I was going to do,
Uh-huh.
and took one class, absolutely hated it. Realized that the programming and just wasn't going to be for me. So
Hmm.
I had to rethink, and Western actually had a mechanical engineering degree come up, and I'm like, yeah, this is what I want to do. It's more hands-on. I can physically comprehend it. The only kicker was it didn't start till like the following year, so I actually had to take a year off. So
Uh-huh.
I made up my mind and I took a year off. I went to a community college just to take some calculus classes and some, I think I took a chemistry class too to kind of get those out of the way. And when I came back, it was technically be my fourth year in college. It was like I was starting from scratch. Even though you've gotten all those electives out of the way, you still you had to start from the beginning of the program and work your way to the end.
Uh-huh.
But I will say it's probably one of the best decisions I've made for sure. So I went through and I ended up getting a super great advisor. My first advisor was not really a nice man. He pretty much told me sitting in the advisor room one day that I wasn't smart enough to do this degree, and it kind of fueled my fire. So
Hell yeah.
ended up ended up finding someone else who really showed me the ropes, showed me how to study and how to progress. So ended up graduating there. Had a pretty modest GPA. I think it's like a 3.5, 3.6. Nothing spectacular, but um, definitely taught me a lot because any other classes or school that I'd done, I never really had to study. When you get into something, it gets more complex. A lot of calculus, a lot of math. I always thought the calculus classes and the like differential equations were going to be the hardest, but
Yeah.
those were ended up actually being the easiest. Once you get into the concepts and got to start using all this different types of math, it was much harder. But basically all that I really learned is how to have good problem solving skills. So basically after that, graduated and tried to find a job. Um, I guess with internship at a injection molding facility. Really enjoyed it. I think I learned a lot. They ended up working there for about 6 months. Next summer, and then another 2 or 3 months through the school year before they ended up having to let me go, um, just because I guess my internet's unstable.
Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, ended up having to let me go because they didn't have the I guess the funding to keep an intern around. But
Yeah,
I
yeah.
went back and ended up putting in a bunch of applications everywhere, and not a single one of them called me back. So
Man.
it's getting about 2 months before I graduate. I'm thinking, wow, I don't have any other options here. And as the saying goes, it's not about what you know, it's about who you know. I ended up, my uncle knew a guy, said, you need to reach out and see if get a job. And I was
Mhm.
in the back of my mind thinking, for me, this is not the job I want. I want to be more machine design, maybe in a plant or a factory somewhere working on design that way. But I ended up applying anyway, and I told them in my email, like, listen, my degree is more design based, but if you guys are hiring, I'd love to give it a shot. And they went through and had an interview, and they asked me where I wanted to work. And they said, "Do you want to work in Oklahoma or Charleston?" For me, that was an easy fit.
Yeah.
So I ended up deciding to go to Charleston,
Why was it easy?
and been here for
What?
yeah, it's really easy decision. I've been here for about 2 years now. My 2 year mark was in June, um, and I'm really honestly I'm glad I came down here, and I don't think I see myself moving back anytime soon.
Yeah.
Um, so I guess that's a little bit about who I am, what I do.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm a project manager. Um, so I work on mission critical projects, and I guess that probably sounds a little fancy, but it's really not. There are, I guess, two main reasons for a job to be considered mission critical, and the first would be any any business or any project that is essential to an organization's uh, mission, essentially. So whereas if you
Gotcha.
mess up the project, it kind of it brings the whole business to a halt. And the second would be any project that has the ability to affect public safety. So hospitals, power plants, um, I guess data centers.
Gotcha.
Um, so I work in the data center field. I've had a little bit of experience with hospital work because we've got a hospital down in Charleston that we've done, um, and but primarily I work on data centers. But for what I do specifically is I work for a mechanical contractor, and so it's all the heating and cooling of what we're contracted to do. So anything from 20 to 30-inch PCW piping.
Oh, lost you.
Process work that goes through space.
I gotcha.
Super great company. I really like what I do. I would say it's definitely very challenging. You kind of never know what you're going to get when you go in for a day's work.
Yeah.
You may have an easy day just doing a little bit of paperwork, but most of the time it's a different challenge or a different fire to put out every day.
I gotcha. Sweet. You want to elaborate on anything else? I got a few things I wrote down just to ask you about what you just said.
Yeah, I guess you can go ahead and ask the questions. I can elaborate. I can bore you with details for sure.
Yeah. Okay. So the first thing I was thinking whenever you were going over your school stuff is you were saying you were going into coding and stuff. You didn't like it. Is that because of like the just being in an office type of deal, or like why would that be? Why?
Well, so for me, sitting in when I was sitting in the classroom and we were doing very basic programming, but using a computer, you can have the concept right, and you can understand how it works. But if you miss one letter or one word, your whole function doesn't work.
Yeah.
And it was just so tedious.
Yeah.
I just never saw myself being able to do it, and it's a lot of theoretical too.
Yeah.
It just really was. If you're good at it, you're really good at it. But for me, I knew that I like to work like a motor or a transmission or water with pipes. So, yeah.
I got you. So another thing is, what other options were you looking at, like career wise? If you said you didn't know like what was going on those first 2 years, but what I guess.
Oh, so yeah, it's actually good. So some alternative choices I had was I thought about I really wanted to do into like the criminal justice field.
Okay.
Because my dad was a cop and worked as an investigator, and growing up, y'all are gonna be like your dad. So
yeah.
I thought about doing that kind of path, and it just I started looking at the numbers. And if you want to make a modest living, it's great for a lot of people. But for me, I wanted to be able to make enough money to at least try to retire on it.
Yeah, and I think just what I've seen from it is people that go into law enforcement, from the people that I've spoke with, the way to go is usually federal, but the problem with that is that you're moving every 3 years. So
yeah.
I don't know. I mean,
criminal justice degree, they pretty much I thought about maybe trying to get into like the GBI or maybe the FBI to lower level, which you can easily do with a criminal justice degree. But they stick you in a really crappy town for like your first 3 years, exactly what you're saying, and then you move to somewhere else. The pay, the risk versus reward for me just didn't add up.
Yeah, and I think that's something that everybody has to kind of like cross that line whenever it comes, because like I don't know about you, but like some people have a higher tolerance for that, some people don't. Some people are super like, I don't want to risk anything ever, and then some people just don't care. So like I guess that's just a personal thing.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's see. So you said there was like a year where you took off from school.
Mm-hmm.
How what made you go back? Because I know a lot of people stop and then they're like.
That was actually one of the harder decisions I had to do, because for me, it was back home, right? But I weighed the money situation, and I thought, I can go back to a community college, get the Pell Grant,
mm-hmm.
and it would cover my school. Excuse me. And I weighed it up and down. Like I can stay here for another year and take some classes that really don't mean nothing and go even more into debt, or I can suck up my pride, go home for a year, and go to a community college and pick the classes I need, and then come back out.
Yeah. So you had the like mindset, I guess, that you were gonna finish. Like it never really crossed your mind that you were not gonna not finish.
Yeah.
I gotcha. I think that's pretty cool.
I was gonna finish. It was gonna take me longer to do it.
Yeah, and so how long in general did it take? Like how many years in total?
So it took me 6 years to finish.
And what's your degree like? What's on the paper?
It's Bachelor in Science and Engineering with a mechanical concentration, and it's the same thing as it means the same thing as a mechanical engineering degree, same exact classes,
Okay.
just the way it's worded.
Yeah, I know for my bachelor's there's like it's in healthcare administration. It's a bachelor's of science or no, a bachelor's. Yeah, so there's a bachelor's of science with a like whatever specialty in healthcare administration, but you can also get a bachelor's of business and then like the secondary be business administration or healthcare administration, but they both mean
Right.
the same thing. They're like
Absolutely.
nobody cares the difference, I guess.
Absolutely. See, it's the name on the paper, and at first you think, oh, does this matter? But it really
It
doesn't.
really
It means the
doesn't.
exact
Yeah.
same thing. And
Let's
that's what my
see.
advisor explained to me.
So you were saying what was your average GPA again when you were in school?
I think it was a 3.5, 0.6 roughly.
So
I
was
think
that like middle of the pack or high or low
actually,
or
actually, I would say I was on average middle to lower. I'd say middle realistically, but I had some really intelligent people in my classes.
yeah.
They just got it. And
Yeah, yeah.
I bet on average, I spent at least 5 to 6, I'd say 5 hours a day in the library studying some sort of class on top of everything else, which doesn't seem
Man.
like a lot, but that
Yeah,
was
it
Monday.
is. It's a lot like if you try to sit down and read for 5 hours straight, I don't think a lot of people can do that.
No, and if I would have gotten some kind of English degree or something where I had to write papers, it wouldn't have worked for me.
Yeah.
But I had a couple people that would study with me and do certain things, so it made it a little better. But it wasn't that fun, but it also what I was doing was more interesting than some of the other choices I could have went, so it was a little easier.
Yeah, I gotcha. So I guess to follow on with that, where are your classmates at now? Do you know anybody in the industry that you kept up with in school or?
Yeah, yeah, I had a couple buddies, and one of them is in Asheville, which is actually where he's from, and he's doing something in a plant. I think he's doing like brakes and brake calipers and something. So
Okay.
um, he had an internship at Continental, which is a tire company. But
Yeah.
and then I have another that moved back up to Pennsylvania. I'm not sure what he's doing. Got another buddy who actually still lives in Hayesville and works at Moog, and he's an ME over at the plant beside the hospital.
Oh, okay.
You know,
Cool.
they do I think motors, electrical motors, which is kind of when I graduated, I kind of figured where I'd be some kind of plant, working as an engineer over there, but at some kind of place like that. But
So along with that, like since there's so many like options and what you can do, I guess with the engineering degree, what are like your rank of like maybe the first four, three or four that you would like most want and then least want?
oh, I, ideally, when I first got my degree, I would have said, like senior mechanical engineer at maybe an injection molding plant or somewhere, something like that, because I had a lot of interest in that.
Hmm.
Now I would say it's senior project manager, like have my own site or own area. Um, yeah, I would say I said that would be my number one. Now I'm just a project manager, but
I
uh,
gotcha.
there's when I first started, there wasn't very many of us in the Charleston office, but we
Yeah,
were handling a huge workload for sure. And most project managers in the industry, in the mission critical industry, they have a mechanical engineering degree of some sort. That or you worked your way up from the field and then you've been promoted, but that doesn't happen a lot, not anymore. Most places require a degree
I
at
gotcha.
minimum.
Yeah, I would think so. Especially I know nursing and stuff is doing that way. Like they're transitioning from like RNs being able to get 2 year degrees and now they have to have 4 year degrees.
Right,
So I know a couple of different industries are I guess doing that because everybody like in our generation goes to school. So there's not
right,
like there's no
absolutely.
distinguishing factor.
Right, exactly. So the market is flooded with people with college degrees now.
Yeah. So let's see here. I know you said did you say you did good at math or you didn't like the math?
No, I was definitely a math guy. I
Yeah,
like
that's
math.
what I thought because I wrote down here, was it easy? Because math is like, for me at least, I like math because there's one answer. There's a way to
Yep,
get the
yep,
answer and there's one answer.
absolutely. So math was certain classes were easier than others, but as a whole, math was tricky. But once you understood it, you, for the most part,
Yeah,
you
you
were
can
gonna
get it.
you could find the right answer if you spent long enough looking at it.
That's the trick is like taking the time to learn how to damn do it, I think.
Absolutely. So for me, I had to I worked backwards. I would, if I had a big math problem,
Uh-huh.
I would, I would find the solution somewhere in every step, and I would write it all down on my homework,
Uh-huh.
and then I would work myself backwards to figure out how I got there. For me, it wasn't as easy to start from the beginning and work my way through and just figure it out. I had to work myself backwards,
I
see the finished
gotcha.
product, and figure out how to get there.
I gotcha. So I know you're saying you applied to jobs like months before you graduated. That's what I do too. It's like I'm about to graduate and I'm already got a packet going for somewhere. So like I would say, how many of your people that you were with were proactive about that, or was there any that waited until after they graduated to start looking for work? Or
So they try and promote you, and all your teachers do and your advisors to try and get internships. I would say half the class didn't apply for internships or didn't get one.
man,
And then, yeah, which is tough because
that
that
sucks.
hurts you. That internship is huge when people look at you. Whether
Yeah,
if your GPA can be super high, but you don't have an internship and someone else comes up and that makes a big difference. But as far as for applying, I would say most everybody applied before and tried to get jobs. But
uh-huh.
then again, it's like what makes you stand out over the 50 other applicants.
Exactly. Yeah, like I don't know, man. Like I've seen that a lot too. Like people say, I'll figure it out later, or I'll, whatever. And it's like it's too late at that point.
Yeah,
It looks, in my opinion, if I was gonna hire somebody and I had two applicants and they both graduated at the same time, one had experience a little bit and one didn't. I would not only be like, well, this guy has experience, but I would wonder why the other guy didn't.
absolutely,
I'd be like,
absolutely.
why didn't you do something? How come you didn't get
And
some?
I think that's what they look at too. The biggest help I had for getting a job, I would think, would be career fairs because you can, if there's people there, you can make an impression. And
Yeah,
as long as
yeah,
you
they'll remember you.
absolutely, and that's what I would
Yeah.
do. I would make it a point at the people that were there, the companies that were there. I would go up and talk to them, shake their hands, communicate, question them about their job, and figure out if it was right for me. And actually, that was out of all the applicants I sent in, the only people who called me back
Work career
to
for
get
other
off
people.
were the people that were there,
That's
for
pretty cool.
sure.
That's
So yeah,
dope.
first impressions for sure.
So I guess can you say one more time what your current occupation is and what's just like a regular day for you? I know you
Okay,
said you don't
so
have one, but
right, so I'm project manager for a mechanical contractor, and day to day, there's phases to a project. So
okay.
there's a beginning phase where you do your bidding, your estimating, and you figure out who you want to be your subcontractor and who you want to work under you.
Yeah.
That takes months on these big projects. It takes a while.
Yeah.
And so you have that phase, which, like I said, takes months. And then once you got some form of commitment, which most of the time we know if we're going to get the job way ahead of time, just because we've got a lot of good relationships with people, and they're not going to bring in someone new to do this work, but you still got to formally go through the process. So anyway, so once you get through that, you've got to start your paperwork side. So everything we do, and as a company or as a job, has to have a submittal,
Mhm.
which is just a packet full of data that we've got to put together with everything we're going to use and how we're going to use it, and when we submit it to an engineer, who either gives the okay or gives tells you to redo it and has comments or whatnot.
Yeah.
So a big portion of the project is going through these submittals and getting all your ducks in a row and planning, and then you have the execution stage, which is just where you're managing people and managing tasks, and nothing ever goes the way it's planned, right? So you're putting out fires and
Yeah.
um, So right now we're in the early stages of I guess you would say the execution phase. So we're doing a little bit of paperwork. I sit on a lot of meetings. Um, Sometimes we have meetings for meetings. It seems like
Yeah.
so. But they used to be some were in person, but since you had the ability to join, via webcam or whatever, and join, use Google Meet, you can join that way. But now all meetings are web based, and so typical day is sit through 3 or 4 hours of meetings, do your tasks you've got to do. You get action items out of these meetings, and then you go out in the field and walk and you know check on things and
I
odds
gotcha.
and ends.
That's pretty
So
cool.
it's
So,
kind of in a nutshell.
yeah, like
Yeah,
coordination.
yeah, a lot of coordination meetings. So there's a lot of different trades working out there.
Hmm.
We're just a mechanical contractor, and though we do a lot and we have a big scope, there's electrical contractors, there's controls contractors. You've got concrete, and you've got drywall contractors. There's just a civil scope, and there's just a lot of different coordination acts.
I
And
gotcha.
we work for a general contractor. So you have your general contractor, your subcontractor, and then your subcontractor sub. So it's kind of tiered.
Yeah, I gotcha.
So you kind of relay information from
Yeah, that
all the way from the
sucks.
top all the way down.
Yeah, and that in theory it works pretty good, but I'd imagine with like a lot of people it sucks.
So it is, and everybody thinks they're the most important. If you get a good GC, which we're on our second one, and I think they're both about the same. Honestly, they both have their pros and cons. But if you
Yeah.
get a GC, they're the final say, so they're the coordination effort. So at the end of the day, it lands on them. So you can get a little bit of scapegoat there. You can give your opinion, but you don't have to make the final decision. But yeah, it can be a real nightmare sometimes. You got to be able to talk to everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody, you can't get hot headed and get as much as it upsets you in these meetings or whatnot. You got to be able to talk to everybody and come to a solution. You got a lot of give and take. Even if you're right, you got to learn to suck
Just
it
be
up.
like, yeah, whatever, man. I gave you the information. You do you,
Yeah.
I
So,
guess. Yeah. So what would you say to people that are like looking at engineering in general? Like what would kind of make somebody want to go one route or another route, or like what advice could you give somebody that's looking into getting into the engineering
uh,
field?
if, if you like a challenge and if you like a challenge and you really like to work, and you're mechanically inclined, I think it's a great field because once you get that engineering degree or mechanical engineering degree, whichever one you want to do, the I never thought I'd be in this position because that's really not what my degree focused in. I mean,
Hmm.
never reviewed a set of mechanical drawings or plans or any kind of HVAC work, and I never did that. But just having that degree opens you up to a lot of different opportunities. Um, I think when you go to college,
Hmm.
and it kind of probably pisses a lot of people off, but you got to get a degree that means something.
Yeah.
You
No, you can't.
you've
You
got
can't just go get like a liberal arts degree and then expect to make
and
100,000 a year, right?
it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
If that's your passion and you've got the means to open up your own whatever or whatnot,
Yeah.
then go for it. But I think you got to look at it as there's a lot of risk there. And I don't know the statistics on it, but I would almost guarantee there's very, very low percentage of people who actually, get these certain degrees and get a job right out because it's a degree everybody gets.
I feel like it's an investment. Like me and yeah, and you buy houses too, right? Like you've bought a
Mm-hmm.
couple. So I think it's the same as that or anything really that you're investing money in. It's a return on investment. It's like what am I going to get? What
And
I'm
that's exactly what I looked at.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think a lot of people don't understand is I'm going to spend 4 years of my life, and in your case 6. It took me 5 years to finish my bachelor's, so that's 5 years that I'm not going to get back. And it sucks going to school because usually you can't make a lot of money. Some people can. Maybe some people got good parents with a lot of money or whatever. But for the majority of us, I feel like we have to struggle through school. So you have to struggle financially. You can't have things. You can't enjoy really much.
Mhm.
And then at the end of it, what's it all for? Like, what's the point?
Absolutely. And I think that's a thought that crosses a lot of people's minds who want more out of life. And there's a lot of people who who are just there in college because their parents probably told them to, and
Yeah.
so yeah, I thought that it's return on investment, absolutely, 100% how I looked on it. And the an engineering degree doesn't have to be mechanical; it can be in any
Yeah.
of the fields of engineering. It has probably one of the highest return on investment for sure.
What are the engineering fields?
So you got civil, structural, electrical, mechanical, um, aeronautical, right? Nuclear. Um,
I see quite a
that's
few
just
choices then. Are they
there's a lot.
is there is there specific schools that like cater to each one, or can you pretty much go
Yeah,
to a 4-year school anywhere and get most of them?
no. So like I said, the mechanical engineering program at Western was really new. They had an engineering technology degree,
Uh-huh.
which is still a 4-year degree, and you learn a lot of the same information,
Mhm.
but you get less theory based and less math. So whereas I had to go all the way up to Calc 3 and
Mhm.
do differential equations in that engineering technology degree, they only had to go to Calc 1, and a lot of their stuff was more hands on, which is great. Sometimes I look back and think I could have done that and had a lot easier degree and still probably got the same job.
Yeah.
But I thought if I was going to do it, I was going to tough it out and go for the harder one just in case it might help me.
Yeah.
Um,
So would you go back? Is there anything that you'd benefit from getting like a second bachelor's or a master's or what? I mean,
Actually, no. For me going back, I did end up with a math minor, which was pretty easy. When you take an engineering degree, you only have like one or two classes away from it. So I was like, I'll
yeah.
just pick it up, have it. Did it
Yeah.
help me any? Absolutely not. Would going and getting my master's help me? Not by much, if any. It wouldn't help me at my current job. They might say, hey, we'll give you a little bit more money, but I actually doubt it.
Really?
Um, I think it would have helped me more on getting a job in the first place. But
Ah.
once just because it kind of puts you a step, maybe another notch above someone.
Yeah.
But there would be no benefit for me to go back. If I went back and got my master's, I'd probably get it in project management or something.
Yeah, I was looking at that too because I was looking at the healthcare administration, like business administration masters, and I was looking at those and I was like, yeah, I mean, it's kind of close.
There's a lot of useful tools in there. So like once you have your base knowledge of like your engineering or in your case with nursing and stuff, the business side is when you start progressing and getting higher in your position, you're going to start doing more money and more business stuff. And there's a lot of stuff that I didn't know that if I would have
Hmm.
taken more project management based or business classes, I would have learned. Instead, I've learned them on the
Yeah.
job,
Yeah,
essentially.
yeah, I think I'm opposite in that sense. Like I've learned a lot of like the cash flow, cash cycles, like revenue cycles, the turnover retention, like
I didn't
delegation,
learn
that
it.
kind of thing. I've learned a lot of that, but I haven't learned it. And it's all really theory. I mean, when you think about it, like
Mm-hmm.
it's a lot of like fluff and how to treat people, the right way to communicate, like that. Maybe that's missing in a lot of places, and that's why they make you do it. I don't know, but like I feel like a lot of it's common sense anyway, and it's not something you
Right.
can't learn. Like you're saying, it's not something you can't learn on the job. I don't feel like.
Right, absolutely. The only reason I would go back and do it, there are certain areas that I could benefit from, like starting from the beginning to see more
Yeah,
how we get to a certain point.
yeah, yeah,
Uh, and then I think it would just make me look more valuable as an asset, having a
yeah,
mechanical engineering degree with a project manager, master's, or business administration, something like that. I think it'd make me
yeah,
more valuable
yeah.
if
Just
I
have
switch.
throw an MBA on it, so whenever you apply, like you're applying for the engineering degree, but you also are a business person, I guess. You can.
Right, absolutely.
I could see that because I know a lot in like healthcare administration. There's a lot of people that I don't know about like in your case, but a lot of people go to school and they just go straight through to a master's and they never work, and then they get to the workforce and they're like, the employees are like, okay, well, just relate to the people, and they're like, how? I don't know. I've never done
Yeah,
that. So
absolutely. And I worked my way through college, even though I still had to use my financial aid, my Pell Grant, and this grant. I still worked. There were certain times and months where I wasn't working. Um,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I worked most of my time through college just to have that extra income.
yeah,
To touch on like what you said earlier, you go through college and you spend so long not having, and looking at people who are your age who didn't go to college that do have, because they're, they've got a decent job. I wouldn't say a good job. They got a decent job right off the rip, and
Hmm.
they just feel like they've got a lot of money. So it kind of just gives you more drive to save and
To
finish.
make it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotcha. Well, I gotcha, man. I mean, that's a lot of it. Just quick, can you give like a 30-second overview from start to finish, like where you started and where you
So
are now?
I can, but let's touch that after this. I do also want to note that
What's up?
even though this is my full-time job, I have me and my brother also have a side business, which I think having multiple sources of income is extremely important.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about that. I forgot. Yeah, so what's your side hustle? Or is that the only one, or is there more?
So so originally, I wanted to get into passive income, and I
Uh-huh.
think that's extremely important. And my uncle preached it to me for years.
Uh-huh.
Had a super successful business, and then decided he was gonna for the most part stop and work on trying to acquire more assets and passive income. And he preached it to me for years, and he always told me he wished he had done that. He started that when he was 20, 25 years old,
Yeah.
and now he's been doing it probably 10 years, and he makes great money and doesn't even have to work.
So
Um,
for the people listening, what is passive income?
Income that you're, I guess, well, I don't know the specific definition, but it's money you're getting in that you're not actually having to work for.
Hey, that's it. That's how I'd explain it. I would say it's money that you assume responsibility for, but somebody pays you for assuming the responsibility. So
Absolutely.
like in your house
So,
or your case is the houses, right? Like are you buying to rent, or are you buying to flip, or like what are you doing?
so yeah. So basically, we first started looking. We wanted to buy to rent, or buy to rent out. But I
Uh-huh.
think when you come across a good deal, you got to figure out a way to make it work.
Yep.
And so essentially, that's what we did. It's crazy. People will tell you about a deal and tell you how good of a deal it is, knowing they probably have the money to buy it, and they don't, because they don't want to take that risk.
Exactly.
Well, we had someone in that situation tell us how good of a deal it was, and that we needed to buy this house and try and flip it, even though that wasn't what we were looking for. That's what we decided. We said, we looked at it, and it was a super good deal.
Uh-huh.
Ended up getting it, and in 3 months, I made more than I made my salary in 3 months. So,
It's crazy, right?
uh, which doesn't happen. That's not something that just pops up. It
Uh-huh.
just or it's not something that happens every day. It just happened to we just happened to get lucky there. So anyway,
Yeah.
we did that. So we started looking for some houses to rent because we wanted to do a 1098-T tax exchange where we could try not to pay capital gains taxes right off the rip. But we didn't find one in time, and so ended up finding a piece of property that was actually close to home. It was about 16 acres,
Uh-huh.
and I knew the guy who was trying to sell it was hurting for money, and
Uh-huh.
made a pretty low ball offer, and he took it.
Man.
Uh, we took the profit that we had from that house that we flipped and
Yep.
turned it into a piece of property, and now we're building a first set of apartments up on this piece of property. We have 8 units.
Man, that's dope.
So we're taking that flip, and even though we could have taken a good chunk and put it in our pocket,
Uh-huh.
we both agreed that we're not gonna touch this money. This is gonna be our retirement. So even though it would have been nice to have that money in the bank don't make you any money. You
Yep.
can't make money off of it sitting in the bank. So we
I
decided we put it into something.
Yeah, I've run into
And
that now, man. I just I've had like it was like 7 or 8 grand sitting around the house, and it's just sitting. And then whenever the stock market crashed, and for reference here, 2000 what was it 2020 February ish,
yeah,
it crashed pretty hard. As soon as that happened, I was like, why do I have this money in my house? Why isn't it
yeah,
in my bank account so I could buy these stocks? Like
absolutely,
it was so I was like, why? And I've had it in here for forever.
right,
Like it's been here for a while, and I've never needed it or used it. And if I really did need money, I could throw it on a credit card if it wasn't in my bank account, and then pay it off with the money. So
right,
like,
absolutely, and
I
that's
don't
kind of
know.
how I viewed it. You know, I know what I spend on a day-to-day basis, and I'm a pretty stingy, kind of cheaper person anyway because I like to penny pinch, and
Yeah.
I'm like I'm not going to be using So when I have disposable income, I try and put it into something. You
Yeah, that's
know.
awesome, man. What's the projected? Do you mind talking about the projected revenue from the apartments?
So we want to. Let me just pull my calculator here. 1 second. So we're gonna have 8 units right off the rip,
Uh-huh.
and we want to. I would say we're gonna try to get anywhere from 800 to 1,000 bucks a month rent.
Uh-huh.
Um, so it's looking at like $6,400 a month.
Jesus.
But that's what's coming in.
Is that
But
profit
there's a
or
lot.
is that before or
That's
after
not
the mortgage?
that's 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 not profit.
Oh, okay,
We
okay.
actually so we try not to go to the bank when we can help it.
Yeah, yeah.
Because if you can get a private lender, you just cut fees and percentages out.
Yep.
Um,
The
so
higher
there's a
interest
lot of
rate
profit.
probably, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the good part about right now is we're actually about to take a loan out and take money that way because the interest rates are super low.
Yeah.
And say you take a $250,000 loan of some sort on a house at like
Yeah.
3-something%.
Yeah,
Looking at like
dude. I
1,800
wouldn't
to 1,800 bucks a month
I bought this house
for your mortgage. That's
with my wife freaking what about 6 months ago, maybe a year ago, somewhere in there. We've been remodeling it, but anyway, we got like a 3.0 interest rate. We were like, man, this is the dopest thing ever, and now everybody's getting like 2.8,
yeah.
2.9. So
So the interest rate are at a historic low, which is probably time for us to make that switch because even though
yeah.
we've got private investors that are willing to help us,
Uh-huh.
it's all short term. 2 to 3 year, they want their money back, which
Mhm.
which is doable, but it puts a strain. Whereas if you go through and do a 30-year, fixed mortgage, you have your payments, what your payment is,
Mhm.
um, so you subtract $2,000 from, or on the high end from $6,400. That's what your profit is a month, roughly, if you
Yeah,
want
yeah.
to look at it that way.
Yeah. That's dope. So so allocation wise, have you gone over that, like where you're going to put the money or how much to put before you take it, or what's going on with that?
Right. So we don't want to touch any of it. We want to take that money and just dumping it back into our business,
Mhm.
and we may pay some of it, but may try to pay some of it off quicker to get to where the interest rate isn't hitting at such a high amount.
Yeah, yeah.
But honestly, it's better to really owe. You don't really want to owe it right. You don't really want to own it right out. You're better off to just owe a little money on it, then it can never be. If the bank owns it
Yeah.
legally, you can't get sued and it gets taken from you.
And why is that? I mean, we both know, but so can you go into explaining that a little bit for somebody maybe that's not into houses?
Uh, Probably not very accurately, honestly.
So my thought is why pay the why would you pay the interest rate whenever your renters are? Like why? Because the upfront money is all interest. You know, like how it's staggered or whatever. In the beginning you pay more interest than in the end. So why would you put money into it at all if your renters are completely floating it? I mean, it's an opportunity cost for me. That's the way that I look
Yeah,
at it.
no, and it's absolutely true, right?
Yeah.
And I don't look at it as I'm making this mortgage payment on whatever. I look at it as my renters are paying for me to have this place.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm making equity. You know, I might not have physical money, but every month that they pay that mortgage, I have a little bit more equity. That's how I look at it. I mean,
Absolutely.
we don't touch our property's money either. At least for us, allocation wise, we like to get at least 10% of the property's value into a savings account for property like damage or whatever.
Expenses.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think you got to factor that in. A lot of people, when you're looking at rental houses, they won't touch it unless they can calculate like 20 to 22% on the return. That's kind of like a magic number for some people.
Yes. Yeah.
And that allows you to pay it off in 5 years roughly. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's kind of the magic place you want to be when you're buying rental houses.
Yes,
I
sir.
can't claim to be an expert on it. I just try to read a lot and try and keep myself knowledgeable. I hope to be able to one day find more houses to buy that are in that
Yeah.
in that goal area.
I don't think anybody is really an expert. I mean, I don't think anybody's really an expert at anything, to tell you the truth. Because like, if you're not constantly learning, then I feel like you're getting behind, I guess.
Absolutely. And you can't
So,
take someone else's word for anything because
yeah.
even if you trust them, I think you got to do your own research, find your own way to do
Well,
it.
it's your money. I
You're
mean,
right,
it's
absolutely.
yeah. So
You lose this money on this thing, on this house or this project. What you can't go up to the person who gave you the advice and say this is your fault. No, it doesn't work that way.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think so. To touch on your 22% return for rentals, I always calculate it per month, return per month, because that's when the mortgage is due.
Hmm.
Um, I think for me that number is the same. I think it kind of comes out to the same thing, but it's 2% a month return is what I like to see.
Yeah, so like I said, I'm nowhere near an expert, and I
Yeah, I'm
probably
not
couldn't give
either.
anyone's serious advice, but I can make it make sense in my own head, and so far it's worked.
If you can write it down on paper and it comes out and you kind of know like I feel like if you know how much you want to put back and how much you're gonna like set aside for vacancy and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's more or less like hit or miss at that point. Like
Right.
if you do your research, I feel like I mean, what more can you do?
Right. And before we started this project, we both talked and we thought, well, at the end of the day, can we make this payment or can we still pay everybody back even if we have nobody rented in it? And the answer was yes, because at the end of the day, if nobody decides to rent it, we can still live comfortably and still
Hmm.
make these payments until somebody decides to rent it.
Yeah. So just make sure that I'm getting this right. But if you so say nobody got it in, you're making enough money, both of you, to float the mortgage.
Absolutely,
Yeah. So it's
absolutely.
like yeah, whatever.
Why wouldn't you do it? Because and the way we looked at it too is that if I was putting up like rentals or apartments somewhere that was flooded, with places, it might not be the best option. But where we're putting it at is in Hayesville, which is there's nowhere to rent. You can check the papers, and there's always people looking for places to rent. You check the Facebook and the yard sale places, and there's
Yep.
always people looking for places to rent. So our goal is to eventually, have 24 to 32 units maybe, and they're all single
Yeah.
level, nothing too spectacular. But we told ourselves we'd do this first one, see how it goes, and then
Go from
go
there.
from there. Yeah.
Well, maybe
Um,
one day we can do one together whenever we get some money.
Absolutely. I think there's a lot of opportunity there for sure.
Yeah, no, I've been talking to a buddy I went to school with, and he's doing them in Athens. He's on his third duplex, and I think passively he's around like 5 or 6 thousand a month. I don't know if he's actually touching the money or anything, but he's in there. It's like 54, 55, somewhere in there. And
Yeah.
I mean that's crazy to be
Yeah.
27 or 28. I
That's
think. I
huge.
mean,
No, that's huge. I mean, especially when it's all passive income. See, for me, it's crucial. A lot of people can do this, and they've got enough income coming in from other places where they can focus on trying to get passive income as their full time job.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I use my salary to kind
Leverage.
of, yeah, to leverage my other opportunities,
Yeah,
and
that's dope,
that's
man.
what helps me. I think having this job that I
Hmm.
have and having my side hustle is, I think, both. I think you got to have both if you can do both.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I have my brother who's able to do a lot of the work,
Hmm.
which makes it a lot of people wouldn't be in that same scenario. But if you want it, you'll make it work one way or another.
Yeah.
And then,
If you didn't have a brother and you really wanted to do it, I feel like you'd find a contractor though.
yeah, you find someone and you do it. Absolutely.
Yeah, you'd find somebody to buddy up with.
Yeah, if you want it, you'll get it. That's the benefit of being in
Being a
America.
hustler, yeah. That's it, man. I think a lot of it is just theoretical again, but a lot of it's like, what are you comfortable with? What do you want? Do you want
Yeah,
stuff or do you not want stuff? Do you want to work or do you
absolutely.
not want to have to work? Like that's
Absolutely. It's all personal preference. Not everybody wants to. Not everybody needs or wants to make. I say want. Not everybody. A lot of people are comfortable with making a little bit of money, and that they're
mhm.
happy with that.
Yeah.
I guess most people would want more money, but a lot of people are comfortable with their life the way there is, and if they are, then that's great for everybody. But
Yeah.
there's a lot of people that want to make more, and I'm one of them people. And yeah,
I feel like for me personally and my wife, I think I want freedom. I don't really care about money necessarily. Like I like to have things that I want, obviously like anybody else, but I wouldn't care if everybody thought that I could barely afford to buy clothes at Walmart. It doesn't matter to me. I don't have to be flashy. I just not want to have to go to work every day. I want to like
absolutely,
not have to owe anybody anything. I think that's the key
absolutely.
for the key for
Not
me.
have to. not have to get up every day and give pieces away of your time and pieces away of what you're
Yeah,
doing.
your life, man, because that's what it
Yeah,
is.
absolutely.
We're trading our life for money.
Yeah.
I mean, that
And
sucks.
yeah, and I don't, I think we do it a little bit. I think we wait too long to retire for sure. Everybody looks at 65, and now I think it's 70, and
Crazy.
I get a lot of backlash for this view too. But I don't invest in a 401k. And a lot of people tell me I'm stupid for not doing it, and that's cool. But
Yeah.
I can make more money, or I can make more money doing putting it in other places.
Well,
For a
yeah.
lot of people, a 401k is great for people who just want to put money somewhere and get a retirement, and they'll get their retirement. But at 70 years old, I can't. At 65 or 70, I can't enjoy my life.
I don't know if we're gonna make it that long, man.
Yeah. I thought
I'm
very
not
hard.
counting on it.
Yeah. In 3 months with my first flip, I was able to make would have probably took me 5 or 10 years to make in a 401k.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so,
And I think, I mean, if I feel like if you ever get to the point where maybe you're just, making crazy money off your rentals and stuff, maybe you take 10 or 15 grand, throw it in a 401k every other month or something, but
yeah,
but that'd be
and that's
like,
good.
it'd be at the top. It'd be like, okay, well, I'm just kind of like, I don't want to invest in any more properties. I don't want to do anything else. I kind of just want to
You don't
stash
want
this
to head
away for
ache,
what.
or you don't want to do
Yeah.
other things. Absolutely, and I think
Yeah.
it's a good avenue for when you get to that level, because then you've got that money put somewhere, and you don't have to manage it.
Yep.
You know, but the way I see it too is these 401k companies, they wouldn't do it if they weren't making a lot of money. They're not just doing it to help you. They're
Yeah.
making money, and it works. Like I said, it works for a lot of people, but it's just not for me.
Yeah. I mean, either the opportunity cost is too great.
Yep.
I would
Cash
take
flow.
that same money and flip a car or something. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know. I would do something.
Cash flow is king, especially when you're trying. Having cash is important when you're trying to do anything with property, or,
Hmm.
well, I guess with probably anything. If you try and buy it, and you see a good deal. If you don't have the money, you can't buy it.
Buy with equity, man. That's what I always look at. Is there hidden potential or is there hidden equity in this property that
Absolutely.
nobody else is seeing? Or really with
Yeah.
anything. I mean, same thing with cars or with whatever you buy. Can I flip
Right.
this? Is what I'm saying, I guess.
Right. And I think people with like mindsets like you and myself, we want to spend the first half of our life obtaining assets and not liabilities.
Yeah, yeah. And I think the key there too is understanding what they are. Like, I think
Right.
a lot of people, and this is getting like totally not even close to dang engineering, but like I've heard a lot of people talk about, their parents buy a house and their parents think that that's a asset, but then you ask them how much money is that house making a month.
Yeah.
It's not
Absolutely.
an asset. It's not generating revenue. It's costing you money. So what's the
Yeah.
difference?
It's absolutely not an asset. No.
Yeah. Yeah, like this, we're in this one now. We're not making money off this thing until we rent it.
Absolutely. For me, I'm currently renting an apartment. I could buy a house down here, and I thought about it, but when you weigh the amount of what I pay in rent is pretty steep, and it's almost like you're throwing away money.
Uh-huh.
But the same amount of money I could buy a house with here, I could buy and invest more in a different area and make more money than I'm paying in rent. So for me, when you compare it that way,
Yeah.
for me, renting is the way to go because I can put my money somewhere else.
Yeah, and that's the thing with us is like for us we don't if you do an investment property, I'm sure you have to put like the 20, 25, 30% down or whatever the bank wants you to do.
Mm-hmm.
If you buy a $200,000 house, who's got that?
Right.
Who's
Yeah.
got 20% of 200,000 laying around? Who's got 40 grand? Who's got or
Yeah,
50 or 60? Who's got
right.
that?
That's hard to come by for a lot of people, and most I would venture to say, I don't know, I wouldn't put a percentage on it, but most people don't have that way.
No, no. And
Um,
and for us, so like you're saying, you stay in your apartment, but then you invest outside. We have to stay in our places for a year before we can rent them. So we're stuck here until we can rent this one, and then we'll buy another one, and then we'll do the same thing. But the
right.
opportunity cost there is there. If we
Right.
had the money, if I was making closer to your income, then I probably would do the same thing, or I would buy like a $60,000 like house, or like maybe like live in a bus or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Keep the
It
costs
all
low
depends
though.
on what you can handle for how long, and for me, I would like to have a house, and a lot of people my age or older in the field that I'm in, they've bought a house, and that's great. But
It
you know,
stops there though. That's the
yeah,
problem. I think. I
yeah,
mean, the problem that I
yeah,
would have with it.
yeah. You can turn the money into other things, and there's always you can always keep doing it, right? You can
Yep.
always keep turning this money into that. Eventually, there's a stopping point or a nice, comfortable area, and when
Mhm.
I reach there, I'll slow it down and probably.
Yeah. Yeah.
My
Well,
plan is to try and retire by 40 or 45 years old, which everyone says I'm crazy, but if things keep going the way they're going, it's a very attainable goal.
oh yeah, dude. I bet. I mean, I'm shooting for 35. I think, like you're saying, a lot of people are like, it's not gonna happen. We'll see.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
yeah, we'll see
Keep
what
living to
happens.
try, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So, I mean, I
If
don't
I
know.
get to a point where I can retire and I still enjoy my job
Uh
and
huh.
I'm making good money at my job, then I'll keep it as extra income to try and try and put myself in a better position. But
Yeah,
I would nobody wants to work forever, but
yeah,
uh, you weigh your options there.
yeah. I think probably that's what I'll do. And maybe I was thinking, depending on how many properties like we obtain or whatever, maybe I'll start a property management company, and I'll just be
Yeah,
like an administrator for the property management company and just hire staff, and then
right,
that'll be my full-time job. Like
right.
I can just
Property
manage my
managers
own.
make good money.
Yeah,
Definitely.
and just take care of my own properties and then get a little on the side to like float the
Right.
business or whatever, or just set it
Absolutely.
up somehow to where it'll take care of itself.
Absolutely. A property manager is definitely a full time job. That's for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
With a lot of headaches, and that's why I could probably handle these apartments by myself. But I'm just going to hire a property manager and pay them to do it because there's a lot
That's
of headache
it.
that goes in there.
Yeah, man, it's buying yourself another job. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that's where it'd be like I think just like you're saying generating different revenue like income streams. I think that's
Mm-hmm.
what it would be. Like I would take care of my properties so that I could show a return on my properties. I know my money's going in my own pocket. Take on
Right.
a bunch of other ones and then just let somebody else like run it and just own the company.
Absolutely.
Like I don't know.
That's,
Somehow work that
that's a
in.
good way to think of it. Yeah, it's definitely an obtainable goal. That's for sure.
Yeah. I don't know. Is there anything else you want to touch on?
No, basically we covered pretty much most of it. I will say it again. I don't claim to be an expert by no means, but
Yeah.
what I do definitely works for me.
I think that's what makes us not I don't know, I want to say intelligent, but that's what makes us like I feel like successful, or at least in a sense of the word, is that we both realize that we're just trying. Like
Yeah,
nobody's pretending to be like, I don't know.
yeah, pretending to be something they're not, which is very common nowadays.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
man. I feel like that's what ruins people because then they
Oh
get over
yeah,
their head and then they don't know what to do and then they lose everything.
absolutely, absolutely. You gotta definitely uh, know. No, I don't know. Know your
Yeah,
role. Know what the word I'm looking for is, but
yeah, I know. I know. Like they just get overconfident or whatever. I don't know.
yeah,
You get what I'm getting
you
at, I
know,
guess.
the last bit of advice I can give anyone is to, which most people already know, but surround yourself around people who have the same mindset as you
Yeah.
or trying to better themselves, right? Because if probably if it would have been for my uncle trying to, you know, smart people and people who make money and have worked for it most of the time want to help other people,
Yeah,
right?
in some sense, yeah.
And so the knowledge and that my uncle and other people have passed on to me it's been huge and crucial to where I am today for sure.
Mhm. Yeah, that's awesome, man. I can't say I've had any like property influence, but I definitely knew what it's like to not like have anything. And I knew
Right.
that like I knew that
That's not where
that's
you want to be.
yeah, I was like this is not cool. Like and nothing my mom raised me and my sister. And she was a single mom, but I remember there was a couple years you know how everybody gets new clothes at the beginning of the year? Like
Hmm.
there was a couple years that we didn't. And I remember one year I have two older sisters. Um, and they took us shopping because my parents couldn't buy us clothes. So like I that was like a big like oh shit like I gotta I have to do something. Like, you know what I
Right.
mean? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, this is where I want to be. I want
Yeah. Yeah, nothing against them, it's whatever, everybody makes their own choices, but I knew that if I was going to have kids, I wasn't going to not let them play sports because I couldn't afford it or not be
right,
able to buy them clothes at the beginning of the year or whatever.
right. Your experiences mold you, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's experiences, and that's what motivated you. I want to have something. I want to have more. So.
All right. Well, I'll holler at you, man. I appreciate you.
Now, man, see ya.
See ya.